Hi, welcome back to the Empowered Mom Show, where we keep exploring how to spot and derail manipulative tendencies in your relationship before they erupt into resentment and anger. Uh, I am your host, Angelica Isis Azura. Today, our guest is Guru Rattana. Welcome, Guru Rattana, and thank you for accepting my offer. Guru Rattana, would you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Sure. So my name is Guru Rattana. I've been practicing Kundalini Yoga for 42 years every day. I love Kundalini Yoga and I love what it gives to my life. And it is extremely powerful in building a relationship with myself as a woman. I've written 12 books. I teach all over, I teach in Europe and more classes online of women empowering themselves and the divine feminine and divine masculine. So I'm a teacher, I'm a writer, I'm a practitioner, and I'm a woman like everybody else. That's enough.
Yes, that's very powerful to be a woman, and I can't wait to ask you all the questions we want to discuss today.
Okay.
So, what is a woman's role in the manipulation dynamics in the relationship?
That's a very good question. We have to start out with the fact that women are powerful and women can design their own life and control their own reality. At least they can control their inner reality. Women have been so programmed over the generations to think that they don't have value, that they're second-class citizens, that they need to make the men happy, and men are better than them. And that women have actually been programmed in recent times to think that it's better to be a man and to even try to act like a man to be successful. Well, that hasn't worked.
It didn't. I'm going to say that I tried.
Yeah, a lot of women tried to act like a man and fit into a man's world, but it didn't work. It created a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety because you can't do what you're not. You can't be a man if you're a woman. So women are in a phase of needing to explore who they are and honor who they are and love who they are as women. Women are very powerful. Women are very special, and women need to wake up to this fact and claim that reality. So the first thing is women need to know themselves, because relationships depends on who you are. So if you're like thinking things negatively about yourself, that's not going to produce a good relationship. That's going to attract an abusive relationship because you can be exploited. But this is women's responsibility. Yeah. And we're in the phase now where women have to take responsibility for finding their own self, their own beauty, and love themselves. And then they can attract from that point of view. But to attract from a negative self dynamic doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. I tried.
Well, you don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that's the next point, is that a lot of women, most women, have had negative experiences. It's the human condition to have negative experiences so that they wake you up. Otherwise, we just kind of go thinking everything's okay when we're asleep.
Yeah.
So we've had these experiences. The question is, how do we get out of them? And if we do the work to get out of them, we have to change our story. We have to say, okay, this was a manipulative experience, but I allowed myself to be manipulated because I had a poor self-esteem and I thought I had to take care of the guy, and he abused me. But I allowed that to happen. I don't have to allow that to happen anymore. So it's not an negatively aggressive thing against men, or trying to be, super aggressive. And no, you just change your story, which is not, it's a challenge. It's a life challenge, but we don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
So the question is, first, to realize we don't have to do it anymore, realize our own power, our own beauty, know ourselves, love ourselves, and then do the work to change our vibration, our frequency, and thus our story through our own experience. So you were telling me before we started that you've been doing Kundalini yoga and it's making you feel good.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Once we feel good, that means our vibration has shifted. We're in a higher frequency. We can be in the heart frequency, and then we can make other decisions based on the fact that we're not feeling bad all the time. We have to feel okay to make some decisions about how we want to live our life, because we have a different experience of our life. If we're feeling negative all the time and abused, then we're not going to sit there and say, oh, I don't think I'm going to do this anymore, because it doesn't work. We can't talk ourselves out of the old story. We have to elevate ourselves out of the old story. We have to shift our frequency so that we can shift our relationship with ourselves. And then we look at the whole process as, oh, this is how I'm waking up to who I am, to my own beauty, to my own power, to my own beautiful life. And then we have a chance. It's a process.
Yeah, I wanted to say that when I started practicing Kundalini yoga, like the whole vibration in the body is changing. So you feel like your hand, it's like I am lighter. And this is just after I've been practicing like probably 3 months. So I can imagine at what state you are. I can only imagine. But I just wanted to affirm this to the audience, that these practices are very powerful, and taking care of your own self, of your own energetic dynamics, coming back to take care of
your own center.
like I had this inner child dynamics, that I was like a child, and that's how I was getting manipulated, because I would slip into this child and parenting that child and cuddling it. And this is the latest meditation I was doing for the heal the broken heart. It's like I want to sit like this, and like I cuddle and I feel more of my own self. So yeah, these are very powerful practices. And I wanted to ask you more about the energetic and subconscious factors that create these unhealthy relationships.
First, it's a negative opinion about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And when we've been victimized, abused, beat up, and told negative things when we were younger and older, then that's the program. And we can sit around and say, well, I'm not like that, but we are. So we have to go deep into that subconscious programming. That's one of the beauties of Kundalini yoga, is that it does go deep, especially when you use the mantras and the breath. It will move into the subconscious. But what happens is you start seeing the subconscious programming. They don't just like, oh, they're gone. Oh, good, I'm free. No, you see what you do. You see that
Yeah.
you are allowing yourself to be manipulated because you feel like powerless, or you don't feel worthy, or you do it to keep the peace, or you can't say no. You see that. And that's not always the most pleasant thing, but actually, it's actually quite good, because when we see it, we can say, oh my God, I'm doing that. I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
So once we can see and identify what we're doing, and we raise our vibration so that we start having a better relationship with ourselves, then we can make the big step of changing our behavior and saying, no, I don't want that in my life anymore. You just say no. Sounds easy, but it's possible to elevate yourself out of the negative experiences. It's work, but we can do it.
We can do it. I just wanted to say that I was very much thinking that I do love myself because I've been working on myself. And when I started, like, it's important to dig to that subconscious mind. With the Kundalini yoga, I do a lot of crying when I practice because the emotions get stirred up, and it does reach to that really deep subconscious level where we are not really aware. And I never thought, for example, that I hate myself, but it was like one of my recent revelations after my practice. I came to that point where I found it in my subconscious where I actually hate myself. That's how bad it was and deep. It was like, oh my gosh, I hate myself. So yeah,
And that's powerful when you can actually get that deep,
yeah.
and then you can love yourself if you
Then you
know,
can love yourself, yeah.
because you're not just covering up something that's been there maybe for lifetimes through generations. It's not just our experiences, it's not just our programming. It's cultural, it's generational, it's the whole dynamic of woman's relationship with herself for eons of time.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
when you get to that point yourself, you realize you're not alone. It's deep in many, many women at that level.
It goes very deep, but for each woman reclaiming herself, we adding some superpower.
Oh, absolutely. Women are extraordinary. I mean, once you get that deep, you also get into the power.
Yeah,
I mean, that you can actually have that experience. You know you can go deep. Then you find your essence, because you know that's not who you are, but you have to touch it. And when you can, like, what did you touch when you realized that you hated yourself? What power? There's something else that you touched besides that.
you know, I cried a lot, and I'm like, it was the power of like self-revelation. I understand where it's coming from, something like that. I don't know. It was very emotional because I cried, and I'm like, this is where it's coming from.
Yes, but you see, you touched your own wisdom,
Okay.
your
Yeah,
own
yeah.
knowing.
That's the words. I didn't have the words because so much emotions. Everything is covered in pain.
Right. But that's the deep feminine, the deep wisdom. Like, oh, this is a program.
Yeah.
It's not me. I understand that. You can understand that. You can experience that. That's a deep wisdom that's coming through you. And that's powerful. And it brings a sense of peace, of knowing, like, oh, I can know this. I can know at this deep level. I can access at a deep level this connection with the pain, which leads to the connection, to the wisdom, to the insight, to woman's deep knowing of the truth.
Yeah.
So,
The emotional self is so, the emotions is just so hard. I've been always a very emotional person, and the emotions always take me for a ride. And most of it manipulated, how you can say that, because I was always reacting. And as a woman, um, I don't know. I have no idea. I still learn how to manage all these emotions, and so people don't manipulate me in the moment.
well, there's two things. The first is, well, you don't manage your emotions. You flow with your emotions. You feel your emotions.
Yeah.
You don't manage them with your mind. But the mind has to be neutral. And this is the biggest piece that I found myself that was missing. And then once I started teaching it to women, they're like, yeah, this was missing in me too. The neutral mind, the ability to have the male polarity, the male, it's the mind, that stable polarity, stable, non-judgmental, accepting, without a story, without a comment, without judgment, that stability, which basically is the connection with the universal energy, that has to be very powerful. That women have to work on that. I work on it every day. Because the more powerful that connection in your mind is with the infinite, the more you can hold stable and not be manipulated. Otherwise,
Yes.
you will be manipulated. But you have to have that stable place where you just connect. You may feel upset because the emotions go through a lot of different experiences, but you don't have to react from that. If your mind can hold stable and say, hey, I'm feeling upset, but I'm going to walk away because I don't like this, then you can calm yourself down. But otherwise, the emotional body will be manipulated unless you don't allow it to be, unless you don't allow your mind to be manipulated. And in the neutral channel, your mind can't be manipulated. You're just there with yourself, stable, peaceful. It's a
Yeah.
job.
Yeah. Well, this is
But at least you know what to do. You need to cultivate that. And then you can relax, because otherwise your emotions are always going to be tense, because we need a stable polarity. So if the mind can't give you stability, then you're going to try to reach stability through controlling your emotions and tensing up your body. Stress is, and part of stress is an attempt to create stability, where you should be creating stability in your mind, not in your body and in your emotions, because they should be flowing.
that is very, very interesting. And this is what I've been reading in your book, and it's a big revelation. I'm
Yeah,
going to say that honestly, I had no idea how to live this life as a woman.
that's
And when you say read, because it's just so much. We've got too much power and we don't know how to use it. And this is just the reason. And finding that stable polarity, it was a big revelation, and I'm gonna work on that.
Every day. I work on it every day.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on that, and I want to encourage people, women, because this is basically mostly for women. And if we have a few brave men listening to this, please get the book too, because the Guru Rattana has a wonderful gift. The book I just mentioned, you can download it by clicking the button below, the gift of womanhood, and it has 30% off. And I will ask Guru Ratana to um, say a little bit about this wonderful, beautiful book, which I wish every woman on this planet would read it, because it gives some understanding of who you are, and you stop trying to be a man or compete with a man.
Yeah, just be yourself.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite books. I've written 12 books. I love them all. But this one, like you said, every woman needs this book. It leads you from the very beginning of understanding that you are a woman and not a man into the state of relaxing into your connection with the infinite, which is where woman's power is, and that's in the neutral mind. And then the emotions can relax, and you can be in the flow of your own life. There's 30 lessons, there's 30 explanations, steps, meditations. I take it one step at a time. It's a lifetime experience. You can see I taught a lot from this book. I've got lots of markings because
Yeah.
because I use it myself, and when I read it, it makes me happy. I'm sure is divinely inspired.
It does make me happy. It gives me the validation. It's just like a roadmap of who I am, with the emotional body, and with the archetypes, and with my inner children,
A lot of them,
because these were the ones who were getting manipulated.
right?
And you need to mother them and also father them. The stable male polarity, I am halfway through the book, so this it's it's something I am discovering for myself, and I encourage, please take advantage of this book. And also, you have a 30% off of the astrology book for
Yes, the
2020.
latest book is called 2020 Makeover Your Astrology for a New Beginning, and it explains the three major astrological events of 2020, which happen very rarely all together in one year. But this is the year 2020 that all this energy is happening. So you may feel like a lot of confusion, or like something is over and something new is beginning. And this explains the whole process of what. So it's about astrology, but I explain what it is so you can understand. And I really um, recommend getting that, because it'll be a guide for the next 10 years, actually, for the new phases of our life that are beginning. So both these books have 30% off during this. Um,
Yeah, it does help to know we are very sensitive, and
yeah,
how to ride the waves. I would say so. Click the button below and take advantage of these beautiful gifts. So I wanted to ask you one last question. So how can women release themselves from manipulative relationships?
so once they're in them,
Yeah.
very inner work, very quietly to yourself, start doing some of these practices and start developing your own self confidence, your own power within yourself. Don't start by yelling and screaming and making the guy wrong because he is the way he is. Change yourself and watch what happens. Sometimes there's just a breakup. The guy leaves. Sometimes you just leave. Sometimes things get better because you change. You can't be manipulated anymore. So start with yourself. And then if you feel the necessity to change, you'll have the power, the confidence. You'll have the energy backing from your own aura, from your connection with the infinite, and you'll be able to do it. But start internally with your own growth, because the human experience takes us through experiences that lead to growth. So grow in this experience, change yourself, and then see what happens. Otherwise, if you just like, well, I'm just going to leave because I'm a victim and you're doing this to me, then the next relationship will very likely be exactly like that because you didn't learn anything. So learn what you need to learn and then empower yourself to the next step. It could be a lot of surprises. It could be good. It'll be different. You'll feel better about yourself. And
Yeah, yeah.
you have to learn that anyway. And if you want another relationship in the future, you want it based on your power, your inner dynamic that's based on self love, that's based on self appreciation, and not victimhood, not blaming somebody for the way you are or for the relationship. So create that now in yourself and see what happens. That's a good
Yeah.
thing.
Yes.
Good.
That's wonderful. And I would love to ask you if you have anything additional to say before we say goodbye.
Well, for all the women watching this, know that you have an inner beauty and an inner power that only you can express, and you're special. So don't compare yourself to anybody else. Don't be in competition with anybody else. Just just do the best you can with you. Honor yourself, your own life. You'll only be this person this lifetime. If you believe in reincarnation and your soul comes back, it'll come back as a different person. But this time you have a chance to be you. So explore yourself, discover yourself, love yourself, appreciate human life. It's very short, it's very special. It can be filled with grace, it can be filled with happiness. I wish that for everyone.
Yes, I love that this is our only chance to be us. I mean, this is the only
Yes,
incarnation to be me, and this is
yes,
powerful. Thanks for
yes,
reminding me.
yes, so love it.
Thank you for reminding me. And I wanted to say that you've been hanging out with Angelica Isis Azura and Guru Rattana. Please stay tuned for the next episode. And thank you. Thank you so much for accepting my humble offer. And thank you for your wisdom. And bye for now.
Bye for